Well, now let's do some politics. The NPP has begun vetting parliamentary candidates in certain constituencies. And in the 175 constituencies, 400 forms were picked, 373 were returned, and 23 have gone unopposed. However, the voting or the vetting process in some areas have been riddled with violence. In the northern region, for instance, the Bimbilla constituency experienced some disturbances. Supporters of one of the aspirants contesting the slot, that's Alaji Zako, vandalized the party's office after the party supposedly eliminated him from the list of candidates who are supposed to be vetted today. Even though Kalma's returned, we want to find out how safe the process will be till Friday. Also in the Ashanti region, MP for Adansi Asokwa KT Hammond, along with 14 other NPP executives in the constituency, has filed a petition seeking the disqualification of an aspirant, Sami Benfo Dakwa. We'll delve into that as well. But joining me now is Winston of our political desk. But just before that, a summary of the statistics that we have. Now, as you can see on your screens, we have 137 constituencies. Now, the forms that have been picked so far, 400, but just 373 have been returned, and 23, like I said earlier, have gone unopposed. Now, before you is constituencies by region, and Ashanti region is leading with 41 constituencies, followed by the Eastern region with 24 constituencies, and Greater Accra 14, then the Central with 10, Western with 9, and the Northern region with 9 as well, and Bono region with 5. We have 4 in Ahafo Northeast, and 3 in Bono East, Upper West, Savannah, Volta, Western North, and just 2 in the Upper East region. So joining us is a deputy head of the political desk, Winston Amwa. Winston, Happy New Year. It's the first time I'm speaking to you this year. How are you doing?
Well, we're fine. Happy New Year to you also. And welcome to 2024.
Thank you, sir. I suppose you're enjoying your rest.
Not exactly, because you have called me.
We're sorry for that, but let's trouble you a little while. But you've been following this vetting process so far. What have you made of it?
Well, before we get into the vetting process and how it's going, of course, it started yesterday. It's expected to end tomorrow. So I'm sure by close of day tomorrow, we'll have a better idea of who's made what and who can contest in the NPP's parliamentary primaries for January 27. But this is it with the NPP's parliamentary primaries. Now, this is very important for a number of factors. First, you know that the NPP started the whole idea of breaking the age. And in the Fourth Republic, in 2021, we had what we term as the hang parliament, when the NPP going into election 2020 had some 169 seats, eventually losing about 32 of them to 137, and had to resort to the Formina constituency, where the current second deputy speaker is, to have the majority in parliament. And so, going into this particular primary, the NPP would seek to select candidates that would be able to help the party. Now, they've done the first part on December 2, but they want to ensure that for constituencies where they have sitting members of parliament, they are able to maintain it. And in order to maintain these seats, a few things are important for the NPP, for instance. You have to ensure that the right persons are selected. One of the reasons that affected them in 2020, for instance, is that the party used the machinery sometimes to disqualify certain candidates. And I know, for instance, that there were some members of the committee that said, if I knew this sitting member of parliament was going to lose the primary, I would have disqualified his closest contender. So if you take that off, this election is important because if the NPP is unable to have majority seats in parliament, then this whole idea of breaking the age, because we've also had the circumstance of, sometimes elections going into the second round, and whenever elections have gone into the second round, the party with the most parliamentary seats tends to win in the Fourth Republic.
Right, Winston, and you put it there rightly. But considering the recent incidents and controversies surrounding the vetting process, How crucial is it for the NPP to navigate these internal challenges swiftly and effectively before the general election?
Well, I mean, unlike 2020, where the NPP had its primaries in June because of COVID-19, and yet they're having primaries in all constituencies. This year they've had primaries in orphan constituencies, also 137, and they are going to have, these 137. It is instructive to note that, Formina that has a member of parliament with a majority will not be taking part in this election. Also because we've seen it happening before, for instance, that when Joe Osei was independent member of parliament for Bekwai when he won the 2008 elections, by 2012 September, he crossed Kappa to the NPP, and that's when they went for the primaries. That's something that you may see there. But this is it.
Well,
yes. Okay, go ahead with your question.
No, just complete your statement.
Yes, so they have 137, and they have one whole year to election 2024. So if they do not repeat the things of the past, and you can actually see, I mean, I've been monitoring happenings in Nandom. You've talked about the Bimbela situation. In the Nandom situation, there's been, attempts to frustrate the candidate. In Bimbela, there's been lots of controversies here and there. If these things are not checked, what normally happens is that the candidates who are disqualified, if they feel they're unfairly dealt with, would actually go a long way to prove a point, and they normally would prove a point by ensuring that the party loses the parliamentary election.
Well, what, in your opinion, are the constituencies to look out for, particularly in this election, to make any form of difference for the party?
Well, it's important to look at Dom Kwabinya constituency for a lot of reasons, but most importantly, this will be the third time that Sarah Joasafo and Mike Okwe Jr. will be contesting. They did that in 2011, the time that Professor Mike Okwe was stepping down from Parliament, so he had his son Mike Okwe wanting to contest. He lost to Ajwa-Safo. He showed up again in 2020, lost narrowly. Following that defeat, Ajwa-Safo had all manner of problems with the party, particularly when she went to the U.S. and was needed in Parliament and wasn't around. Now, you want to ask yourself, has the party forgiven Ajwa-Safo? For many watchers, they believe that this could just be a done deal. But you've seen Ajwa-Safo campaigning and talked about how she went there to the States, wanted to have a child, didn't get it, trying to play the emotional card. What could be the strategy of Michael Pay going into the 27th of January election? That remains to be seen. Another person has shown up wanting to contest, so may not just be, for me, it looks like a two-horse race, but not that person who's decided to contest. What does she bring on board? Whose candidate is she? Will she be the spoiler? That remains to be seen. So yes, you'd have to take Dom Kwabinya constituency. You also would want to look at a place like, Adansi Asokwa, Katie Hammond's constituency, for instance. They are petitioning against a particular candidate. If the candidate is successful, how will that actually impact Katie Hammond's chances? If you go to Bekwai, you have a COP member, who's been in the news when you had it in that tape, which he admits is his voice. Plotting the removal of the IGP, has decided to go and contest as the parliamentary candidate for the NPP in that constituency. You know that Joe Osei is also not contesting in that constituency. So what will be his chances? Would he be successful this time around? And in a place like Swami, where Osei Mensabun is not contesting, you ask yourself, who would be that person who would take over from Osei Mensabun? If you go to the Western region, we have constituencies like Sekendi, Andre Japamesa, where you have somebody challenging him, or by the end of the session, would know whether the person is successful or not. You also go to the Asia constituency, where the minister in charge of public enterprises also faces competition. So these are just some of the constituencies you want to focus. When it comes to the Greater Accra region, you want to find out, I've talked about Dom Kwabinya, what could also happen in Ablekuma West, for instance. That's a lot of
yeah. Well, Winston, take a pause for me right here. Let's listen to Ajwa-Safo and Michael Kwe at yesterday's voting in Dom Kwabinya.
And your child does something wrong, and you pick up a belt or a cane to beat up the child, and the child immediately kneels and says, "Mommy, I'm sorry." You will be touched, and you leave the cane or the belt. It takes a woman of courage. It takes a courageous politician to accept that I've done something wrong. Forgive me. And that is what has touched the hearts of the people of Dome Kwabinya. And I know there's still would vote me into power?
Well, I mean, we're very confident, but at the same time, we're humble to acknowledge that everything is up to God. I contested the first time in 2011. I lost. I didn't contest in 2016 because I didn't want it to look like you are chasing a seat around. I wanted to give ample time for 2 terms before I came again in 2020.
Well, Winston, so you heard that what Adjosafo is trying to play on the, I don't know whether to say she's trying to play on the emotions of the electorates in her constituency. And of course, Michael Kwetu, pressing in with his decision to contest again after losing. What do you make of their comments so far?
Well, I mean, Adjosafo, anytime she's had opportunity, has said something different, while she was in the States, she talked about how her child was not well, and so she had to go and take care of her child. And so as the Minister in charge of Gender, Children and Social Protection, charity, they say, begins at home. She comes back to Ghana. She talks about meeting women groups, particularly in the market areas, and talking about how she went to have a child. She needed to get it. And now she's talking about when your child wrongs you and the child immediately says sorry. I mean, anytime she's had an opportunity, she's tried to, play on the emotions of people. She's tried to play victim in some circumstances. Well, the delegates will decide. If you speak to some of the delegates to give you the impression that they are not going to forgive her. But of course, you can't trust delegates. I mean, Sir John of blessed memory said, fear delegates. And, Don Kwabena in 2020 was one of the hotly contested constituencies. And the delegates in that constituency, unfortunately, will tell you how a lot of them walked away with lots of goodies. We want to see what would happen this time around. With money play a role? From what we've seen about our politics so far, it looks like money is what just plays the role. And so if money is going to play the role, then who has the most money likely may win. But of course, delegates these days have also become wiser, and there are some of these delegates who would, insist on punishing you, for what you've done for the party. I mean, the other point is that, yes, Adjosafo was a member of parliament, but if you realize that, if you take the fact that the NPP actually wanted Adjosafo out of parliament, took her to the privileges committee, they have an opportunity right in front of them to disqualify her. Okay? If you wanted Adjosafo out of parliament,
right,
and the speaker didn't let that happen, what you need to do is to prove to the world that you actually meant it by disqualifying her, because now she's come to you. Would that be done? I do not know. I mean, I'm sure when the NPP is done with the vetting, would know. But if you ask me, if the NPP really wanted Adjosafo out, and they want to prove to the whole world that they do not endorse what she did, they have to disqualify her.
Well, Winston, we'll be turning our attention to the Ashanti region now and going to Nana Boakye Yadom at the Asokwa constituency. I think there's something happening there. Nana Boakye, what's going on there?
You can see a number of supporters joining their preferred candidates here at the regional party office in the Ashanti region. These are supporters of lawyer Vincent Frimpong Menu, the deputy CEO, and also others over on my right are also supporters of incumbent member of parliament for the Kwadaso constituency, the Honorable Dr. Kingsley Nyako. And so they are having their vetting this morning on the first floor of the NPP party office in the Ashanti region. And also, member of parliament for the good people of the Bantima constituency, Francis Asenso-Boakye, who doubles as Minister for Housing, is also here alongside his opponent, Raphael Ejapon, is also here. They are having their vetting on the second floor of the regional party office. We have to get interactive with lawyer Vincent, who is seeking to unseat the incumbent member of parliament for the Kwadaso constituency, the Honorable Dr. Kingsley Nyako. Lawyer Vincent is here. He's here to get into the vetting room to face scrutiny. And so let's get interactive with lawyer Vincent. Honorable, you're yet to face the vetting committee. How does it look like this morning?
It looks encouraging. We are prepared for it. We're going to talk party matters, and we're going to share our knowledge and express the view about what we can do to advance the NPP party within our constituency. So we are ready.
It looks as if you are very, very optimistic of victory. But then after this process, the main election, I always ask all the aspirants, the main one is on the 27th of January. What is the preparation like for you when it comes to 27th of January? Because you are coming up against your incumbent Member of Parliament, Dr. Kingsley Nyarko.
The polling station executives are going to decide. We have shared our message. They have compared the two of us. Even though I'm not MP yet, they've seen all the things that I've been doing for the constituency. And they feel that this is the time for them to make a change that will bring them servant leadership, a change that will bring them development, a change that is transformational. And that is what I am all for. I have been engaging them. We've spoken at length. They know my track record in the constituency. They know my track record in the party. And they know my track record as a development practitioner and the things that I have been able to do. And they are yearning for me. So on 27th, we are confident that we are going to win. We are going to be the victors.
Let me bring you back to the vetting process today. So what should the vetting committee expect from you as you proceed into the vetting room for your vetting this morning?
Clarity, honesty. I'm going to share my vision. And depending on the questions they ask, I'm going to be clear and straightforward as possible. We are going to give them a very clear message as to what we can do to ensure that the NPP party is very strong in the constituency, as to what we are going to do to ensure that we mobilize the people and increase the votes of Kwadaso constituency so it can contribute to the national votes so we are able to break the 8.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. And so that is lawyer Vincent Frimpong Menu, who is also seeking to unseat the incumbent Member of Parliament for the Kwadaso constituency, Dr. Kingsley Nyarko. And so the supporters of lawyer Vincent Frimpong Menu are here. But then, as I earlier said, the supporters of the Honorable Member of Parliament for the Kwadaso constituency himself, Dr. Kingsley Nyarko, he's here. The supporters are also here. He's the first person to enter the vetting room, and then later onwards, his opponent, lawyer Vincent Frimpong Menu, would also proceed into the vetting room for scrutiny. And so, Mami, this is the atmosphere at the Ashanti Regional Party office. But then in my shot, you can see the Member of Parliament for Atwima Nwabieja, Emmanuel Anshe, seated here. He would also go through the vetting process in no time, but then we have to get a word or two from lawyer Emmanuel Anshe. Honorable, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
You have your vetting this morning. How does it look like for you and before you enter the vetting room?
It's a normal vetting. It's a normal routine that we go through. The vetting, I'm coming for the vetting. And you know, we are yet to meet them to engage them with the vetting.
This is not your first time. You've been through this process for a while. But then, how do you think this time around is going to be different from the previous years? Or you feel it's going to be the same?
Depends on what terms of the word.
If I'm looking at the number of aspirants we have this year, normally we would have it at one place, but this time around we have it in 2 different centers.
Oh, I think it's just all to fast track the process. So we are in for the process. So we are just to fast track the process.
Let's look at the contest itself in your constituency. It looks more fierce. How hopeful are you after this vetting process, and how ready are you for January 27th?
I'm very, very hopeful about my victory. I'm going to win. I'm going to win the primaries, then the entire election. I'm very hopeful about that.
And then is your party breaking the 8? I always want to ask you that.
Hopefully we'll break the 8 with Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to break the 8.
Thank you so much for joining us. And so that is the Member of Parliament for Atwima Nwabieja, Emmanuel Anshe. He's supposed to be in the vetting room in the next hour, and also his opponents would follow. And so we want to give you how things look, the whole atmosphere at the Ashanti Regional Party office. As I earlier stated, the Member of Parliament for Bantama constituency, and also the Minister for Housing, Francis Asensu-Boakye, is already facing the vetting committee up there. His opponent, Raphael Ejapon, the brother of Kennedy Ohini Ejapon, is also up there facing the vetting committee. And so this is how it looks like at the Ashanti Regional Party office of the New Patriotic Party. Let's get to the streets of the Okrofrom constituency, where the regional party office is located. And so up there you can see the supporters of lawyer Raphael Ejapon, the toughest opponent this time around for the Member of Parliament for the Bantama constituency, Francis Asensu-Boakye. And so these are the supporters of lawyer Raphael Ejapon coming through the NPP Ashanti Regional party office. And also earlier on we heard from lawyer Vincent Frimpong Menum, who is seeking to unseat the Member of Parliament for the good people of the Kwadaso constituency. And so the atmosphere here at the Ashanti Regional Party office of the New Patriotic Party is quite tense, as a lot of supporters are here waiting for their preferred candidates to also come through the vetting process, and later onwards we would also have some aspirants joining us. But then I have to give you updates on how the vetting process is going to look like today. And so day 2 of the vetting for parliamentary aspirants at the regional office of the New Patriotic Party, where I am currently, we have the Kwadaso constituency, Asante Achim Central, and Asante Achim South. They are having their vetting this morning here at the regional party office. And then later in the afternoon, we would have we have Bosome Freho, Afija Kwabre South, and then Drabin at the party office. And later onwards, we were supposed to have Bantama, Achuman Wabija South, and Achuman Punya later in the afternoon, but then they've been brought to this morning. And so as I speak to you, aspirants from the Bantama constituency and also Achuman Wabija South and Achuman Punya are having their vetting this morning. And then also later, at the party office or the office of the Vice President, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, at the Asokwa constituency, we would have Ofinso South, and then also retired COP Alex Mensah going through the vetting process today. And so COP Alex Mensah would be having his vetting at exactly 9 a.m. at the Asokwa constituency office of the New Patriotic Party. And later onwards, we would have Odotobri constituency, aspirants from Odotobri constituency. And then after 12, we would have aspirants from Kwabri East, Ofinso North, and then Subin constituency. And so this is how it would look like at the Ashanti Regional Party office and also the Asokwa constituency office of the New Patriotic Party when it comes to the vetting process today. But then I must say, Mamiesi, that after hours of deliberations yesterday, we have picked up the information that the vetting committee have cleared Mr. Same Benfo Dakwa, who was facing some difficulties during the vetting process. I mean, a petition came up against him, a petition filed by the Honorable Katie Hammond and also some 14 constituency executives. And so after hours of deliberation, we can say that the vetting committee has cleared Mr. Same Benfo to contest the Adansi Asokwa constituency parliamentary seat on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party, in fact, the primaries itself. And so later onwards, we'll get up to speed details on what transpired after the deliberations by the vetting committee. And so clearly, Mr. Same Benfo Dakwa has been cleared, alongside 3 others, including Mr. Katie Hammond himself. And so for Adansi Asokwa constituency, we would have Katie Hammond, the embattled Same Benfo Dakwa, and then 2 others contested for the parliamentary primaries of the New Patriotic Party. And so supporters of Raphael Lejapon and then supporters of Francis Asensu Boache on the streets of Kofrom as we await them to conclude their vetting process this morning. And so the breakdown I have given to you, and then also the atmosphere, charged atmosphere at the Kofrom constituency, where we have the second day of the NPP vetting process for parliamentary aspirants. In fact, for parliamentary constituencies where we have parliamentary candidates on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party. And so this is how the atmosphere looks like at the Ashanti Regional Party office of the New Patriotic Party. And so let's see if we'll get some of the supporters to talk to. And let's get inside there and see if we can get some of the supporters to talk to.
Actually, I realize that it's kind of a packed day for you.
On the 27th, and so that is the supporter of Raphael Lejapon, the brother of the Honorable Kennedy Ohini Ejapon, who is also coming to face the vetting committee this morning. And so Raphael Lejapon is in the vetting room, and later we'll get to interact with Raphael Lejapon and also Francis Asenso Boache. We are trying to get others to speak to, but it looks as if everybody here is waiting for the vetting process, and so it looks quite tense here. And so later onwards, Mamiesi will bring you up to speed details as to what goes on here at the regional party office of the New Patriotic Party. We'll get to hear from Nana Boache, Henry Nana Boache, the national organizer of the NPP, and then also Chairman Bernard Chubuasi, Chairman Wontumi, the Ashanti regional chairman of the New Patriotic Party. And so we'll bring you all the details, and then later onwards, we'll get to hear from the vetting committee itself. And so, Mamiesi, over to you.
Thank you so much, Nana Boache Yadom, giving us a comprehensive report from the Ashanti regional vetting process. Winston, you're still with me, right? You've been listening to Nana Boache Yadom. What do you make of events happening in the Ashanti region?
The Bantama constituency is one that you should look out for. The fact that you have Asenso Boache, who is Minister for Western Housing. Now, I mean, this is it with the Bantama constituency. Now, the fact that in 2004, I mean, prior to 2004, you had a Bantama constituency, then it was divided, so you had Asokwaya Bishaya, and Bantama again, and so you had Cecilia Dapa then becoming Member of Parliament after the division, but that name Bantama remained. When she stepped down in 2012, it was the Honorable Henry Kokofu who became Member of Parliament. He did one term, and he lost to Daniel Ochuma Boache, who also did one term and lost to Francis Asenso Boache. Would history repeat itself? Would Francis Asenso Boache also be a one-term MP in Bantama constituency? Well, we will see. And that's why there's a lot of focus on the Bantama constituency. I mean, I told you, you've heard, some of the supporters of Raphael Ejapon say that, I think 2 more days. The thing about Raphael Ejapon is that he's a brother of Kennedy Ejapon. And so going into this election, he's indicated that he has the support of the polling station. I think he actually came to him to contest. That's always what politicians would say when they decide to contest. But there's also an indication that sometimes even the polling agents or the polling station executives will walk up to you wanting you to contest, also because their belief is that when there are more people contesting, the more money they get. Sadly, I mean, we've talked about money crisis, condemned it, we've said that this politics should not be, election of members of parliament or parliamentary candidates should not be based on who has more money. But unfortunately, so that's what some of, the delegates would do. I was talking earlier about the Adam Sasokwa, so now we have the information that Samuel Benfo is declared by the vetting committee. So you ask the question, what would become of that particular constituency? Let's wait for the 27th of January. But let me just take you to the Western region. I need to see this quickly before you go, because I know you have an interview at 9 a.m.
Before you go to the Western region, Winston, COP Alex Mensah is also competing in the Bekwai constituency. What are his chances?
Well, for now, COP Alex Mensah, he's been campaigning and he's been talking about, how he's a party person and he's been fighting for the party. And some of the times when you get into his constituency, some of his campaign messages, the fact that because of his love for the party, he's doing everything to see the party break the eight. Early days yet, the campaign would heat up after the vetting, and then after we know those who've qualified. Once that is done, but he seems to be enjoying some support, within the Bekwai constituency. Let's see what happens after the vetting.
Right, and you are talking about the Western region.
Yes, the Western region, and particularly in the Estikade Ketan constituency. Because the current Member of Parliament, incumbent Member of Parliament, Joe Gatti, will not be contesting again. Now, you have a former Regional Secretary of the NPP, Charles Onyawon Tobisi, and you have the Deputy Director General of the NLA, also going. Now, these two, so you ask yourself the question, who takes over from Joe Gatti? Would it be Charles Bisi, or would it be the Deputy Director General of the NLA? And that's one of the areas you have to look out for. Charles Bisi seems to be enjoying some good support within the constituency. In the build-up to the NPP presidential primaries, he did a lot of work for one of the candidates. His candidate excelled in that constituency. You want to ask yourself, will that transfer into votes for him? Well, it remains to be seen. His wife has become the NPP's parliamentary candidate for the Kaikwe North constituency. if Charles DC also gets the nod, we'll see whether you have a husband and wife from two different constituencies in Parliament.
Right, Winston, but before you go, you know, Bimbilla has experienced some disturbances yesterday. Their vetting is supposed to be going on today and whatnot. Given that particular constituency, how would you assess the overall security in these areas put in place to ensure that the vetting process runs smoothly?
Well, Bimbilla is a constituency of the Defense Minister, and there will be an indictment if there isn't much security. And so that's why when you were talking earlier, you said that some crime has been brought there. Sorry about that. So, I expect Bimbilla to be calm. It's the constituency of the Defense Minister. So whatever happens, it would bring calm there. What I want to see is who makes it to contest with the Defense Minister, Dominic Mutiwu, who's been Member of Parliament since 2008. So let's just wait for the vetting process to be over. Once the process is over, we get to see those who've made it, and then we'll begin the further analysis from there. Right.
Thank you so much for your time here, Winston. We're grateful for your time. But just before you go, have we lost Winston there? Unfortunately, we do have. But we'll also be speaking to a political analyst, and he will also be sharing with us his views on the process so far. But we can go back to Nana Boachi Yadom, who is still in the Ashanti region, observing the process there.
It was okay. I think it's a usual process. This is the fourth time that I'm experiencing this, so I saw it was a normal process that I went through. Yeah.
Now, looking at the Bantama constituency, this is the first time I am personally witnessing a fierce contest in the Bantama constituency. But then I don't know if it's the same for you. But how does it look like?
This is the fiercest competition we've had. The fiercest competition, I believe, was between myself and Honorable Kokofu. That was the fiercest as far as I'm concerned. This one, for me, it's a no match. When you go to the constituency, those who are voting, they see a big difference. Yes. Like a difference between a VIP bus and Pragia. Yes. That is the difference. It's a no match. I don't see this as a competition at all. Because it will take a nation record to choose my opponent over me, given the unprecedented levels of development I've brought in Bantama against an opponent who has no record of active service to the party and to the competition. It will never happen in Bantama.
But people are saying that this looks like the biggest showdown in parliamentary history, in the parliamentary primaries.
It's all noise. It's all noise. Politics is local. If you want to know what is going on, go to the ground, speak to the delegates. Don't listen to what you see on social media, TikTok and Facebook and all that. Go to the ground. Politics is local.
Would it reflect in the 27th January elections?
It will not reflect. I'm expecting a landslide victory, and 27th, you will come back to me and confirm what I'm saying.
But people are saying that looking at the results between the parliamentary and the presidential candidate you supported, that is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and then Kennedy Japan, the gap was not wide. And so this time, it is between you, Asenso Boache, and Kennedy Japan's brother. It makes it quite difficult for you.
That has no bearing on what is happening in the parliamentary primary. No bearing. This candidate has no record of active service to the party, active service to the community. He's never done anything. In fact, really and truly, he doesn't qualify. But I don't want to pursue that, because I don't want anybody to think that I'm afraid of this competition. Yes. I don't want anybody to think that this guy is a match. It's a no match, and I'm from here. We've started a campaign. We've already started engaging the delegates. The development that they've seen in the constituency is unprecedented. No other MP has been able to bring that type of development, that kind of development to Bantama, and it will take a nation record to choose that guy over me.
And so 27th, what are we expecting from Francis Asenso Boache? All right, so Mamiesi, that is the Member of Parliament for Bantama constituency. He just ended his vetting. He's coming up against the brother of Kennedy Ohine Japan, who is also seeking to unseat Francis Asenso Boache. And so later on, we'll get to hear from Raphael Ejapon also. But then the Member of Parliament for Bantima constituency, Francis Asenso Boache, is done with the vetting process today. And so later on, we'll get to speak to his opponent, Raphael Ejapon, as well. And so this is the atmosphere at the Ashanti Regional Head Office of the New Patriotic Party. On the streets of Krofrom, it is a charged atmosphere. Supporters are here. Dr. Kingsley Nyako, the Member of Parliament for Kwadaso constituency, is also here. Let's get to Dr. Kingsley Nyako. Honorable, you are coming to face the vetting committee this morning. How prepared are you?
Oh, I'm prepared. You know, I know the work I've done in the constituency, for the party, for the government, the people of Kwadaso will retain me as their next Member of Parliament. No doubt about that. They won't make a mistake because of my commitment to the party, my dedication, my contributions. For the party, the things that I've done in the constituency, my contribution in Parliament on the floor of the House, communicating for the party. So I've done a lot. And the people of Kwadaso are discerning. They love development, they love progress. So they will not make any mistake. They will vote for me again, for me to represent them again, in order for me to continue the good works that I have begun the constituency. You mark my words. 27th of January, you see that I'll receive massive endorsement the constituency.
You look very optimistic, but then your opponents are also super optimistic. Coming up against Vincent Frimpong Menu, how does it look like?
The first time I contested with him was in 2015. He had 14 votes. He was last. I occupied the penultimate position. I had 78. The second time we contested in 2020, he was last. He had 48 votes. I had 172 votes and I won. And he's coming again for the third time. Wait till January 27, and we saw it's going to happen. Vincent is no match. I don't talk much. I'm measured. I always tell them that they can talk, I will work. That's what I'm going to tell him. He can talk, he goes to the media. Do you see me on the media? No. This game is to build trust in the people. And I've done that. You go to Kwadaso less than 3 years, the things that I've done, they are there, they are visible. Okay, he should tell us, being the deputy CEO of Middle Belt, what is done for the constituency. So let's see what is going to happen.
And so are you retaining your seat as Member of Parliament for Kwadaso after 27th?
I'm very optimistic. And I'm saying that the people of Kwadaso will not make any mistake by changing me. They won't do that. They won't do that. I'm telling you.
So what should the vetting committee expect from you as you proceed into the conference room?
I mean, I don't know the question that they're going to ask me, but I know that I'll be able to acquit myself so well, and they will approve me for me to contest. That's what I'll say about that.
Wishing you all the best as you proceed into your vetting. And so that is Dr. Kingsley Nyako, the Member of Parliament for the good people of Kwadaso constituency. He's optimistic of victory. He says that his opponents are no match for him. And so at the end of 27th of January 2024, he is going to win the constituency, in fact, and then also proceed to win the 7th December January elections, which will be to elect a president for the country and also parliamentary candidates. So Dr. Kingsley Nyako, over the earlier onwards, we spoke to the Member of Parliament for Bantima constituency, Francis Asenso Boache, and also we got to speak to Vincent Frimpong Menu, who is also seeking to unseat Dr. Kingsley Nyako. And so the atmosphere still at the Bantima, at the Krofrom constituency, the head office of the New Patriotic Party in the Ashanti region, really looks fierce, a charged atmosphere. And so supporters of Francis Asenso Boache jubilating as he proceeds, he walks out of the regional party office. And so this is how
my colleague Nana Boache Yadom with details from the Ashanti regional vetting process there, bringing us updates from a charged atmosphere in the Ashanti region. Well, joining us still on the vetting process is Professor Alidu Seidu. Professor Alidu Seidu, we are grateful for your time on the AM show.
Good morning to you, Mami Esi, and good morning to your viewers.
Thank you. Good morning. And Prof, as you rightly witnessed, it's such a charged atmosphere in the Ashanti region, which currently has the largest amount of constituencies, 41 of them, really charged, especially in areas like Bantama constituency. What do you make of the process so far?
Yeah, I think I'm so happy about the internal competitiveness in terms of people putting themselves up to participate in the democratic processes by seeking the mandate of the people to represent them in parliament. It actually encourages democratic participation and allows for internal competition in political parties, so that when you are elected as a member of parliament, you know that at the end of your tenure, people within your party will put up your achievement to test by competing against you. So it's good for our democracy. But the other bit is that there have been a lot of issues about disqualification and qualification and competence. Representation is largely for the people. So basically, the people should have the ultimate say in determining who represents them. But when you are contesting on the ticket of a political party, you have to prove your membership, your commitment, your loyalty to party activities and to the political party. That may qualify you to contest on their ticket. So you have seen over the years, I think since yesterday and today or the past 2 days, it has always been people who have held positions in government competing with incumbent members of parliament to represent the constituency. So what that means is that every member of parliament who is elected on the ticket of the NPP for now will have to prove his worth, will have to prove his competence, will have to prove his commitment to party, will have to prove his commitment and dedication and loyalty and service to the constituency. Failure to do that, you are going to be taken out. So basically, I like the competitiveness. I like the fact that people are very bold and they are putting the game to the incumbent MPs and challenging them to the task of representing the constituencies. It's very good, and I like it as a democratic state.
Well, Prof, even though there are quite a number of aspirants that are contesting, over 300 of them, there are still some 23 candidates that are going unopposed. Are these concerns about potential favoritism?
So there may be a lot of reasons. Some of them may have sincerely worked for the constituency. They have proven their worth, they have brought development, and the constituents or the party executive in that particular constituency are so proud of what they have done and have decided that maybe they should go unopposed. Or maybe even the people in the constituency know that this particular MP has done so well. So even if I compete him this time, I may not be able to succeed. So it could be born out of competence and hard work and dedication. In other cases too, it may be the political machinations of the candidate to be able to ward off competitiveness, deal with people who have interest in the seat behind the scenes, negotiate with them, make promises to them, or sometimes even buy them off, so that they will go unopposed. So it is a part of political strategy. If you are very strategic and you can speak to those who want to contest, just let me contest this time. Maybe after this year I may not go again, so that you come. Or maybe for this time, this year's election is very critical. Let us build unity and then contest. Then after that, I can also help you. So whichever way that they are able to negotiate the deal and go unopposed is good. But in other constituencies, you see a deliberate attempt by party hierarchy, either at the constituency level or at the regional level, to disqualify incoming debutant candidates who are highly competitive, so that they do not end up unseating the incumbent candidates. And mostly they always say that about 16 or so of the highly experienced members of parliament from the NPP are not going this time around. So it is good to still maintain people with experience, people who are well versed with parliamentary procedure, to still be able to prosecute party businesses, to be elected to party leadership positions in the next parliament. So if they let a whole lot of new people coming in, it may be very difficult for them to match maybe the NDC, who may be able to retain their experienced people. But even if you have to do that, it should be done on the proper account of principles and procedure. But if you use some Takashi ways to disqualify candidates, you are going to create a huge division in the party that could create apathy, and that could lead to the party losing the seat moving forward. So even if this has to be done, it should be done based on principles and facts, so that even the disqualified candidate will know that I have been properly disqualified. So if you look at the case in Bimbila, the case in Ayawasu, West Wagon, and several other constituencies, you tend to see that they have been a little bit of what? An unfair dealings meted out to some of the candidates who want to contest the incumbents. So if there's a deliberate attempt to protect incumbents without merit, it could backfire.
Well, since you've mentioned Bimbila, I mean, how then does the party assess the situation and ensure that they deal with the factionism in that constituency? So
if you look at the composition of the Bimbila constituency, it is a very kind of diverse. There are a whole lot of ethnic groups, but you see the incumbent MP is a Konkumba, and there are other tribes like the Nanumba who are also very predominantly inhabitants. So you tend to see the Konkumbas and the Nanumbas are the dominant ethnic groups in that particular area. And most of them, you get a little bit of here and a little bit of that other ethnic groups. You're able to win. And most of the candidates that are coming from two different ethnic groups. So if you tend to disqualify one person, even based on merit, it could backfire or torpedo a reaction from a specific ethnic group who think that you have disqualified them based on identity reasons. So that's why a whole lot of care has to be exercised. It may not necessarily be related to identity, but once you are coming from a particular identity group, you tend to maximize it as your trump card in election process, in addition to competence and experience and hard work. That's why the Bimbila case is very critical. But the issue is that I heard the General Secretary, Justice Kodia, has issued a directive that he should be added to the vetting processes and be properly vetted. So I think his name didn't even show up as part of those who have filed. He was disqualified based on the fact that he didn't fill the forms well or whatever issue that it may be. And these are some of the things the party has to properly guard against. They have to do due diligence so that even if a candidate is disqualified, the facts that are presented to him will convince him that at least what the vetting committee did was right. But if it's based on reasons that cannot be substantiated, it moves beyond just the disqualification based on competence or not feeling doing due diligence to including other ethnic, tribal, religious, and regional dimensions, which we don't want to occur in our politics. And that also will translate. The Bimbila seat is a very kind of thorny seat. It's kind of unstable. Little has been there over the years, but if they get a very strong candidate from another ethnic group that can compete against him, then it's going to make it more competitive. Rather than just disqualifying him, the contestant, and let the incumbent MP go unopposed.
Well, Prof, just before you go, let's go to the Ashanti region. You know, that place is still heated, but there were issues with KT Hammond's Adansi Asokwa constituency, where he petitioned against Sami Binfo, who has currently been cleared to compete. But the undertones of this petition and how it impacts on the process, how do they move forward?
So I think most of the issues that usually the incumbents raise is the fact that, the person is not known in the constituency, or the person is not an active party member, he has not contributed to the party, he's not active in party activities. Some of those things are highly disputable, because somebody may not be on the frontline politics, frontline activism. You won't see him move from one particular party event to another, but they have been contributing behind the scenes, either in terms of money or thinking or ideas or strategizing. And that constitutes the contribution. So the definition of contribution to party or not being active in party activities has to be clearly defined, so that those kind of generalized statements are not used to disqualify highly competitive candidates and protect incumbent candidates. So some of these things, the vetting committee will have to set ground rules moving clearly to define what is meant by party activism, what is meant by contribution to party activities, and all those things, so that people don't hide under it to disqualify people who they think they can unseat them. If the party is able to do that, I think most of these things will be mitigated. And this is not the first time. It has been coming over the years. And when eventually they use it to disqualify highly competitive candidates, they either campaign for skirt and blouse or they undermine the incumbent, and then the party ends up losing the seat. So I think the party has to put their heads down and be impartial in determining some of these things. Once you think you have done a lot to win the confidence of the constituents, you should not fear competition. You should allow yourself to be contested. That will even prove your worth and make you do better. So I think democracy is about competitiveness. But once we begin to undermine competitiveness to favor or protect other candidates, we are indirectly undermining our democratic growth as a country.
Professor Ali Seidu, we are grateful for your time on the AM show. And he is the Political Science Department Head at the University of Ghana. And that's how we wrap up our conversation on the NPP parliamentary vetting process. We'll be bringing you updates in subsequent bulletins. But right now, we'll take a break. When we come back, we have an interesting interview with Boris Kojo.